Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Ped, and welcome to this week's Midweek 180. So much to talk about this week. But just looking back on last week's Midweek 180, I think that was the highest viewed Midweek 180 I have ever done, probably helped by the fact it was the reveal of my new mini long-termer. But it's on 27,000 views, which for a Midweek 180 is probably 3 times as many as I would ever expect to get from a really well-viewed Midweek 180. So massive thanks to that. Huge thanks to all the birthday wishes that you gave me in the comments. And also, I just want to come back. Quite a few people said that they thought it was disrespectful of me to return a press car dirty. Honestly, I know press teams now have been working with them a very long time. The cars go back, and the very first thing that happens to them is they go through a full valet inside and outside before they go on the next press loan. There is no requirement for me to wash the car. I didn't have time to wash the car. The only requirement is if it's a petrol car, you generally return it with about a quarter of a tank of fuel. And if it's an electric car, then you try and get it picked up with about 75% of the battery. That's the only requirement. So it's not disrespectful. It's just how we work with press teams. Anyway, and then last week's or this week's Monday video, which was my Porsche service, that video, quite a few people spotted it was filmed a long time ago, because in the background you could see there was still a roof on my barn and no scaffolding up. It was a video I very nearly didn't put out, but I'm a bit low on content at the moment. And I thought, you know what, actually, the Macan T was a cool car. I'll put the video out anyway. It's already done 38,000 views, so that shows me what I know about my audience. I thought that video wouldn't do very well at all, and it's going absolutely gangbusters, so there you go. Anyway, before we get onto the meat of the day's video, let's do the admin things. Leader of the pack last week was Francois G. And you were joined in the Magnificent 7 by Ben Higginson, Paul Mead, Gary Matthews, Kevin DG7, Matthew LeBerge, and Robert Lloyd. So whoever was the first comment this week, you'll be my leader of the pack next week. And the first 7 comments will be in my Magnificent 7. Where are you and what you're doing? I didn't have one last week. So wherever you are right now, whatever you're doing, put it in the comments below and I'll give you a shout out next week. It's an easy way to get a shout out. The question on last week's Midweek 180 was all about the Isle of Man TT, and the question was, who do you think the bravest people in motorsport are? And there were some great suggestions. I think the one that made me giggle was, it wasn't the riders on the Isle of Man TT, it was the sidecar passengers. Those guys are seriously, Dakar drivers, WRC drivers. And then away from motorsport, someone mentioned like high diving, like the Red Bull high diving, or even things like Red Bull hardline. Those guys are completely nuts. And then for me, sport I used to compete in, eventing. If you do cross country on a horse, believe me, that takes some balls, and is one of the best adrenaline rushes I've ever had back in my eventing days. This week's question, I don't know if you've noticed, but apparently there's an election coming up soon in the UK. I'm not going to get party political at all, but I am going to ask, if there was a motoring policy that any of the main parties could put forward that would get your vote, what would it be? Let's just see. For me, it might be either a reversal of the EV ban or spending lots of money on potholes. I don't know. But what would your I'll pick out some of the more interesting ones, not the obvious ones. Formula One from last weekend, Canada. What a race. It was one of those brilliant races, helped out by the fact that it had been raining. So it was that kind of, what tyre should you go on? Should you go from inters into slicks? And it was just a really fascinating race. Clearly Max won, but great to see. It's great to see Red Bull and Mercedes and McLaren all fighting at the front. It's just so much more even now. And I know Max won, but you know, there's hope for us all for the rest of the season, I think. Next race is in Spain, and I'll be there. I am so excited to be going to the Spanish Grand Prix this year. I went a couple of years ago now. Brilliant race, amazing track, normally great weather as well. But I'll tell you more about that next week. But this afternoon, I'm off to Le Mans with Joe and Pat from the podcast. We're guests of Michelin, and all the hypercar cars and so on run on Michelin tyres. We've got a really interesting program while we're away. We're going to be recording a podcast, or maybe more than one podcast, actually in the pits, in the hospitality. I'm going to really take you behind the scenes. So I will be doing a video for YouTube, but you need to make sure you're following me on Instagram, because I'm going to do lots and lots of Instagram stories while I'm there. So if you want to come behind the scenes, you want to follow us on our road to Le Mans and sort of really get behind the scenes, make sure you're following me on Instagram. Question in terms of who's going to win. In the hypercar class anyway, Porsche apparently looking in very good form after the first practices and so on earlier in the week. Ferrari, it's going to be, I think, between those two, but who knows? Let's see. And then in the other categories, it'll be great to see Astons and McLarens banging heads against each other, I'm sure. Last little bit of motorsport news, I couldn't not mention this week Jamie Chadwick. What an amazing result for her last weekend in the Indy NXT series, which is the feeder series into IndyCar. It's a bit like Formula 2 is to Formula 1, but in the US. So it's single seat, open wheel racing, and she won the race last weekend. And to put that into context, that's the first female to win an Indy NXT race in 14 years, and only the third female ever to win an Indy NXT race. She qualified on pole. She led the race from the start. Amazing performance. Have a look on YouTube. There's highlights there. And it's just a really interesting one. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. You know, will we, at some point in the near future, see Jamie in a Formula 1 car? It would be great to see. I think if she carries on the like she is with Andretti, it may well be she goes into a full-blown IndyCar maybe next year or the year after. But it's great to see her doing so well. She's such a sparkly, lovely personality and a proper handy peddler. So brilliant result for her. New car news. So this week we see the global reveal finally of the Alpine A290, their hot version of the Renault 5 electric. And the global embargo lifts tomorrow, that's Thursday at 11:45 British Summer Time. And there's a video dropping on the channel then. So I can't tell you anything about it because it's under embargo. But I went to Paris a couple of weeks ago to spend the day with the design team and really get to grips with the new little hot electric hatch from Alpine. And it's an absolute cracking little car. Really, really excited. Can't wait to drive it. But yeah, tune in tomorrow for a special extra video. You have 4 videos this week with the new Alpine A290. And then on Friday's video is my Hendy Group Lotus Emira video. Now, actually, the Lotus went back yesterday. I took it back to Hendy's because I'm away for the next few days. As you know, we've got building work going on at the moment, and car parking is at a premium at my house at the moment. So I wasn't going to be here for the next pretty much 2.5 weeks because I'm away to Le Mans for the next few weeks. Then next week I go away on a drive tour for like 9 days, and then I come back and I'm actually going to Italy almost straight away when I get back. So I'm not going to be around until the early part of July. So the Lotus went back. But the video on Friday is a really interesting one for a couple of reasons. Firstly, halfway through my loan, I'll let you into a little secret here, halfway through my loan, I actually had the Emira changed out because Lotus sold my old car, or the first car. So I spent the first half of the last 2 months with the V6 manual supercharged, and the second half of the last 2 months with the AMG engined flappy paddled Emira. So I've driven them back to back, lived with them back to back, and there aren't that many people, I don't think, that have had the opportunity to spend that much time with both cars. And on Friday, I really kind of give you a proper, honest, and very open opinion of what I think about those two cars are to live with. I often get criticised or comments, you know, you only ever say nice things about cars. You're not allowed to, to criticise cars. All I would say is tune in on Friday at 6 o'clock for my Lotus video, watch it all, and then put in the comments your feedback on how I appraise those two cars, because I think it's one of my most, it was certainly challenging to film, but one of my most honest and revealing videos I've done. It's not that I'm not honest in all my videos, but I kind of really gave some fairly pointy feedback. Anyway, that's it. Super busy day today. I leave for the Eurotunnel early this afternoon. I've got to get this video edited and uploaded. And then I'm meeting Pat and Joe. We're driving over there in Michelin's Porsche Cayenne e-hybrid. We've got an overnight in northern France this evening, and then we'll be in Le Mans by Thursday lunchtime. And then we've got an action-packed few days, VIP access to Le Mans, so I can really get you behind the scenes. We'll hopefully get on the grid walk, we'll get some action inside some pit garages. I've also had Toyota reach out to me, so hopefully I'll be able to do some stuff when I'm there with Toyota and get you maybe up close and personal with the car. So yeah, please make sure you tune in for that. But I am going to say goodbye now because I need to get this video edited, uploaded, and then do a few other things like pack before I go to Le Mans. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol Ped for plenty more content to come. And I'll see you on the next video, which is actually tomorrow, Thursday, 11:45 British Summer Time, 12:45 Central European Time, for the global reveal of the Alpine A290. It is well worth tuning in for, even if you're at work. Maybe take an early lunch break, quickly watch my video. It's only about 15 minutes long. And then Friday, Lotus Emira V6 versus AMG. Yeah, anyway, you take care, guys.